Ambassador Vexthor had studied 17 different species across the Galactic Council, but nothing prepared him for humanity. The Zyloxian diplomat adjusted his environmental suit as he descended toward Earth, his 3 eyes scanning the data streams with growing unease. The files were wrong. They had to be. According to the records, humans had evolved on a death world, a planet with crushing gravity, volatile weather systems, and lethal microorganisms. Standard protocol dictated that species from such environments were either extinct or had abandoned their homeworlds millennia ago. Yet here was humanity, thriving, expanding, and requesting membership in the Council. Vexthor's first meeting took place in what humans called a hospital. The facility reeked of chemical disinfectants that burned his olfactory sensors. His human liaison, Dr. Sarah Chen, greeted him with what their species called a smile, a bearing of bone-white teeth that every civilized species recognized as a threat display. "Welcome, Ambassador," she said warmly. "I hope your journey was comfortable." Comfortable. The word echoed in Vexthor's mind as he watched a human patient shuffle past, missing an entire limb. The being showed no signs of distress. On Zylox Prime, such an injury would mean certain death within hours. Here, the human was apparently awaiting a replacement. Dr. Chen noticed his stare. "Oh, that's Marcus. Lost his leg in a climbing accident. He'll have a prosthetic fitted next week and be back on the mountains in 2 months." Back on the mountains? Vexthor's translator struggled with his disbelief. The location of his trauma? Of course. It's his passion. Passion. Another human word that defied translation. The tour continued, and the horrors compounded. Vexthor learned that humans routinely poison themselves with substances called alcohol and caffeine for recreational purposes. They deliberately exposed themselves to their star's radiation to change their skin pigmentation. They consumed the flesh of creatures that would kill most species through bacterial contamination alone. But nothing prepared him for the marathon. Dr. Chen had insisted he witness it, thousands of humans voluntarily running for over 40 kilometers in temperatures that would send most Zyloxians into thermal shutdown. Vexthor watched from a shaded observation point, his suit's cooling systems working overtime. "Why?" he finally asked, watching a human stumble, fall, then rise again on bleeding knees to continue. "Why do they persist?" "Because they signed up for it," Dr. Chen replied, as if that explained everything. "Because they trained for months. Because they want to prove to themselves they can." Vexthor's physiology couldn't process the concept. When a Zyloxian felt pain, they stopped. It was biological imperative, a survival mechanism. These humans felt pain, he could see it in their contorted faces, their labored breathing, and chose to continue anyway. That night, Vexthor compiled his report, but his appendages trembled over the data pad. How could he explain to the Council that humanity's greatest strength was also their most terrifying trait? They didn't just survive adversity, they sought it out. They called it challenge. They celebrated it. The Zyloxians had conquered space through careful calculation and risk avoidance. Humans had done it by strapping themselves to controlled explosions and calling it adventure. In his final paragraph, Vexthor wrote, "Recommendation: accept humanity into the Galactic Council immediately. Not because they meet our standards of civilization, but because any species that views the impossible as merely difficult will find a way to accomplish their goals with or without our cooperation. It is better to have such beings as allies than to wonder what they might achieve as adversaries." He paused, then added a personal note that would never make the official record: "The true cosmic horror is not that humanity exists. It is that they make the impossible look routine, and they do it with a smile." Ambassador Vexthor submitted his report and requested an immediate transfer. Some mysteries, he decided, were too terrifying to study up close.